Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Module 12. I think we are nearing the end now of this. Somehow it is already November. I don't really know how the semester has gone so quickly. This week we're talking about another of the religions from the Indian subcontinent. We're talking about Sikhism, which is substantially different from Hinduism and Jainism. We'll see in many ways the relationship between Sikhism and Islam has sort of contributed to the development. I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm going to talk a little bit about my expectations for you this week in terms of the assignments and in terms of working on the final project. But first, let me get into Sikhism a little bit and see if I can answer some questions, or at least introduce it. You might not even be familiar with this. So this is a religion that started in sort of this northwest part of India, eastern part of Pakistan. Remember, these used to be the same country. And the region is called the Punjab. So this is where the religion started. It's much larger than you might think. It's 25 to 30 million people, which of course means it's larger than Judaism, for example. It is also a relatively new religion, whereas Islam comes from the 7th century CE and Christianity, of course, from the turn of the millennium, and Judaism from before that. Sikhism began in the roughly 16th century CE. So, the 1500s, give or take. And it started with the writings of a man in the Punjab named Guru Nanak. He came up with this concept, this idea of Sikhism. He began writing, and he developed followers and convinced people to join his religion. In Sikhism, they have, like many religions, including Judaism and Christianity and Islam, a sort of very simple statement of Sikh faith, which it's called the Mool Mentor, and it's been translated in a number of different ways because there's some dispute over how to translate the first couple words. But the translation that I found most commonly is: there is one God named Truth, the Creator, without fear, without hate, timeless in form, beyond birth, self-existent, and known by the grace of the Guru. Now, you might take from this a really, really important fact, which is that Sikhism is a monotheistic religion. Unlike Hinduism, unlike Buddhism, unlike Jainism, this is a monotheistic religion in the sort of vein of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They're not identical. There's lots of differences between the two, between Sikhism and those other three, But that's important to note, that this is a monotheistic religion. It has a couple of key tenets. You'll read about them. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in terms of introducing it. But one of the major components of this religion is service. And they divide service into three different and distinct categories. There is physical service, meaning labor, meaning you're physically helping someone do something, build something, move things around, whatever the physical service needs to be. There is mental service, which is, I guess, best summarized as sort of being there for someone. And then lastly, there is material service, which often takes the form of financial service, helping out people who are in need. And they are viewed equally, but this is a major component, as it is of many religions, really, but it is explicitly spelled out in Sikhism. Another is the importance of justice and equality. It's a religion that's incredibly focused on issues such as this, but perhaps not in the way we talk about social justice issues today in 2021, but in terms of justice and fairness and equality. Perhaps that comes from always being a minority religion, sandwiched between two huge religions, sandwiched between Islam on the west and Hinduism on the east, kind of squeezed into that territory. Which sort of brings me to this history of Sikhism, at least in the 20th century, and in India, when the Indian subcontinent was divided in 1947 between what is now India and what is now Pakistan. The Sikhs were sort of split. The Radcliffe line that divided the two, the border, went straight through Sikh territory, and so what ended up happening is Sikhs who had been active in the sort of pro-Indian independence movement, many of them whose lives were now in Pakistan, left. They kind of moved to northwestern India, meaning that they're left behind sacred places, familial history, lots of sort of Sikh life kind of evaporated in many ways in this eastern part of Pakistan in fear of what perhaps this new Pakistani government might do. You'll read about that in this second assignment this week. So let me talk a little bit about the assignments just so that you are sort of on the same page as me. First, you have an assignment. They're both based on the same, readings from the same book. It is sort of just an introduction to Sikhism. One is just sort of the first assignment is just an introduction. The second assignment is that we're really wanting you to evaluate the way Sikhs have been treated outside the Punjab. That means in Britain, in Canada, in the United States, in other parts of the world. And I'm asking you to sort of do a mini version of what the final project is going to be. You're going to need to create some slides and present over them. So you're going to need to use whatever program it is that you would like to use to be able to speak over the slides. I use Zoom when I do that and just sort of record the screen. Also this week, in terms of the final project, it's time to sort of choose a topic. I'll be posting a Google form for you to choose your topic, and that's going to be also due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be on my office hours on Thursday at 7:30. Other than that, send me an email. Take care. Have a great week.